Okay, so question 19 relies on you knowing that in a histogram, it's actually the area that represents the frequency. So it's the area of each bit that represents how many people chose that or fall into that specific category. So because it tells you 7 cyclists took 80 minutes or less, you know that this area here represents 7 cyclists. So if we think, there's loads of different ways in which you can kind of scale this up and compare it with like 105 or more. But if I think about the little squares which you can count, this box, you've got 7 little squares going up and 10 little squares going across between 70 and 80. So 7 times 10. 70 little squares is equal to 7 cyclists. So every 10 little squares, again there's different ways you can do this, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible to follow. So if 70 little squares is equal to 7 cyclists, then 10 little squares, every 10 little squares is 1 cyclist. So work out an estimate for the number of cyclists who took more than 105. If I draw a line in for 105 here, we've got going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times, well that's 105 to 120, so that's going to be 15. So 12 times 15. We have got 180 little squares for 105 or more. Well, if every 10 little squares is 1 cyclist, then 180 little squares must be equal to 18 cyclists. Now again, using little squares, if you did this in your exam you'd get full marks, because you've shown that you understand that the number of people relates to the area in a histogram, and you've shown all of you working out. So 18 cyclists is an estimate for the number of people who took more than 105 minutes. So the people that fall, this is 105 here, the people who fall in the area above that. Explain why it's an estimate. You can write anything about the fact that you only know the number of people who fall within this category between 100 and 120. To start off with, before I put that line in there, this was all just one group. Now, if we know how many people fall in that group, they could all have taken 119 minutes and they would still all fall between 100 and 120. Or they could have all taken 101 minutes, we don't know. We assume that they're roughly spread out within this category. But because all we know is that they fall between 100 and 120, they could all, like I said, they could all fall down at the lower end of this group, or they could all be at the higher end of this group. So the estimate is based on the fact that they're evenly spread between 100 and 120. So a quick way would be to say that we don't know that the cyclists within this group are evenly spread between 100 and 120. That would get you the mark.